So we're talking about how to heal from trauma. Particularly we're focusing on trauma from childhood abuse, narcissistic abuse. And the way that I've approached this subject is to try and say, rather than just give people a few bits and pieces of techniques that are easy to forget, is to try and give people principles. And one of the first principles that I chose to work with was the idea that healing in the mind, healing in the emotions takes place in exactly the same way it would inside the body. You don't do anything in order for healing in the body to take place. If you have a cut or something, it heals. It just spontaneously heals. If you mess with the healing process, if you open the wounds again or you damage them, that slows the healing process down or can even bring you back to stage one. So in a sense, this was a course in giving people techniques to get out of their own way and to get out of the way of the healing process. One principle for getting out of the way of the healing process that I think is strong is acceptance. If you're resistant to that which is happening, or you're resistant to the state that you're in right now, and you're fighting it, you're actually stopping the healing process from moving forward. This is hard. It's a hard principle to grasp hold of, because when we're in pain, we want to fight that which is hurting us. But what is hurting us in trauma? If it's long-term trauma, post-traumatic stress, the thing that's hurting us or the person that was hurting us is probably gone. We're no longer in that scenario. So what are we dealing with? We're dealing with our memories. We're dealing with our imagination. So something hurts, we want to fight it. What are we fighting? Memories and imagination. Can't work. You can't heal like that. You'll drive yourself completely crazy like that. So the place that we start from is a principle from Jung. Whatever we want to change, we must accept first. Difficult. The ego fights this. No, something has hurt me. I should fight back. I should stop it from hurting me. And I'm saying, no, don't. Accept everything. Everything that has happened, every humiliation, every pain, every part of the frustration of realizing that your life is held back today because of things that somebody or someone, some scenario occurred to you in the past. Accept it. Accept what happened. Accept the frustrations that are here in the present. Accept how you are and who you are, because you will have been changed by the trauma and you will know that. And you'll be like, I don't like this person I am. But you can't heal in resistance. You can't heal unless you accept fully everything that you're experiencing right now, everything that you're going through. We have to accept radically all of what we are and all of what we're experiencing in order to change in the future. Another principle that I was looking at with this particular course was to alter the narrative. So we live inside of stories. We have a story we tell ourselves today of who we are. We have a story and a timeline that we're living, and we are a character within that timeline. If we are not healing, one of the things that we can do is to look at the story we're telling ourselves of what happened and who we are, and to explore the character that we are playing, for want of a better term. Because we're all playing games. We're all living life within unconscious, archetypal narratives. What's your narrative? What's your story? Are you a blameless victim? Are you a persecuted martyr? Are you the hero? Are you the villain? Are you the persecutor, the judge? These are important things to understand, because whatever conscious work we do, if we don't change the unconscious narrative and the unconscious archetype that we're representing, the character that we're representing, none of it will change. Everything that we do, nearly everything that we do is unconscious anyway. Like 95% of your behavior, totally unconscious. And it's rooted in script, in narrative, in archetypes and characters. And unless those change, we can never truly heal. that somebody trying to get in? Oh, hello. Please come take a seat. We had to shut the door because they're vacuuming. Okay, so we're doing a seminar on how to heal. And presumably you've come because you've tried to heal and you found it difficult. The mechanics of healing really aren't that complicated, but we are complicated, and more often than not we get in the way. So there's going to be 5 different things I'm going to give you for healing, but the most important thing to understand is these steps are actually a way of getting out the way of your own healing process. When you cut yourself or you have an illness or an injury, even at the medical, biological, physical level, much of what modern medicine does is assist your body's own healing process. Because if your body's own healing process stops or breaks down, the doctors are fucked. They really don't know what to do with you. They can just about keep you alive artificially. So as above, so below, as within, so without is a hermetic principle. Your body and mind operate in the same way. Sometimes with a cut, you just have to clean it and leave it alone, and then it's time. You can do other things that will assist, but it's your healing process. You're already healing. You're already automatically healing. That's life, that's nature, that's biology. The reason why you're experiencing, I'm struggling to heal, is most likely because you're going back and reopening old wounds. And it's not because we're crazy. It's not because we're self-destructive. It's that there are survival mechanisms that are in place, that have kicked in, that are unconscious, that think they're helping, but they clearly are not. And it makes it very, very difficult to move forward. So I'm only going to show you techniques that help you to get out of your own way. This is the most important thing, is to get out of our own way in this process. And there are 5 steps to let that healing happen. So have it clear in your head. When it's emotional healing, you're letting it happen. You're letting it happen. It heals itself. You just don't interfere with that process. You try to stay out of that process. You try to stay out the way of that process. Okay. The first step, so that you don't interrupt the healing process. Look at you smiling at the back over there. She's like, look, it's like a Jordan Peterson seminar. Tell the damn truth, at least as best as you can. So why is this critical? The reason why this is critical, I'm going to raise the issue of the shadow a few times tonight. We're stopping our own healing process. We are stopping it non-consciously. We become shadow activated. Your shadow is every part of yourself that you've suppressed or repressed because it doesn't match your self-image. So you push it down and away. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't die. We just end up living in the split. What Slavoj Žižek calls the fetishist split. We know, and yet we do not know at the same time. It's enormously stressful. It creates cognitive dissonance. And then we live with that cognitive dissonance. We feel fake. We feel inauthentic. It's very, very hard to relax. I have a quote. It's one of my favorites from Dostoevsky. Above all, don't lie to yourself. The man who lies to himself and listens to his own lie comes to a point that he cannot distinguish the truth within him or around him, and so loses all respect for himself and for others. And having no respect, he ceases to love. So we said we keep bringing it back to family, and we keep bringing it back to national and cultural issues. We have to have a shared fantasy. The shared fantasy in a relationship is so, it was defined as 2 people coming together, and so that they can allow the relationship to survive, to get through the multiple bumps and insults and grievances that we inflict upon each other in a relationship. We have to have a shared fantasy. But nations also have shared fantasies. Like you look at the United Kingdom, it has a fantasy of itself. It has an idea of itself. All nations do. It's perfectly natural, perfectly normal. But if it has artifice in it, if it has falsehood in it, that becomes like a kind of grit, and it grows over time. So everywhere where we have avoided the truth of who we are, it comes back to haunt us later, and that becomes a kind of shadow possession. Don't get freaked out. Like, shadow just means that which is not seen. Nothing else. If it is not seen, it's in shadow. You can probably think of a country, it's quite a big one and a powerful one in the world, that's recently gone through a period, and is still in a period of shadow activation, because it won't tell the truth about what it is, what it does and what it was. It just can't. It can't. You can compare that nation to a person who's struggling between truth and falsehood, narcissistically addicted to the false ideal, freedom, liberty, justice for all. Meanwhile, in the dark underbelly, what goes on? These things, they don't disappear. And when we've built things, come in. Please come and sit down. If you have social anxiety, I apologize. These things will make you stronger. And that's all in the lie. So in family units, there's also a shared fantasy. Like, what is this family all about? And who are we? Some of the most ridiculous stories you'll get that are just an easy access to the shared fantasy are your parents' story of how they met each other. That's it, right. Exactly that face. They never just say like, oh, we got drunk and then we fucked. And then you appeared. It's like, well, when I met your father, they start talking like they're inside of some weird institution. But of course they are, because they're in the institution of a relationship. And that's part of the shared fantasy. We build institutions, we create shared fantasies because it helps us to live with ourselves. You all know the Matrix, the red pill, the blue pill. We're all blue pilling all the time. Nobody lives a purely red pilled life. Red pill is just raw reality. No ideology, no fantasy, no shared fantasy, no cultural identity. I mean, if you look at like the United Kingdom and you look at the history and you go, okay, let's red pill the history of what this place is. I actually think that's healthy. I actually think that's way healthier than what we do now. We should just go, well, that's because I'm psychology, psychoanalytic theory. I know the danger of not doing that. Every time we don't do that, there is terrible atrocities. Either interpersonally, we do horrible things at an individual level within the family unit, or at the cultural national level, because that's the nature of the shadow. That's the nature of shadow activation. That's the nature of not telling the truth. Having no respect for himself and for others, he ceases to love. In another quote from Dostoevsky, he said that the worst hell on earth a person can experience is losing the ability to love. I should have stuck that up today. It's a beautiful quote. My hypothesis, my suggestion is that we're all globally moving into a loveless culture. There's a culture that's just going to have all the love scrubbed out of it everywhere. And it will seem like hell on earth because it is hellish to live without love. Love would include, I'm not talking, obviously, he's not talking sexual love. He's talking love in the broader sense. Love of each other, love of God, reverence for life. So we have the opposite of that, or not the opposite of that, but something different to that, which would be a kind of sullen malaise, a sullen, overfed, overindulged, overstimulated contempt. Contempt for ourselves. How can...
like resentment in the kind of Nietzschean sense?
In the Nietzschean sense, it would be, it's not quite, that's a ressentiment,
Yeah.
needs a target. So that it needs a target. So maybe if you said it was like a targetless ressentiment.
Yeah, like a collective thing.
A collective.
You'll all be happy in your resentment.
Exactly.
We'll all feel it together.
Broad scale contempt. Broad scale contempt for ourselves, broad scale contempt for each other, and broad scale contempt for life. Freud, I believe, building on Dostoevsky, said being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise, and then snorted another line of coke. Good old Freud. Jung, with the shadow, we cannot change anything unless we accept it. So, you want to heal, you've struggled to heal, you don't know why you're not healing. Like, you've been on seminars, you've read books, some of you have been to therapy. I really strongly advise you look at this. Go back, tell the story again. Look at the real truth of what you did and your part in it and your motivations. Don't clean anything up. Don't make it nicer. Don't make it prettier. Don't add levels of ideology to it. Go into the shadow. Go and look into your own darkness. What were you really trying to do? Of course, it's easier to believe that we are codependent martyrs. Martyrs are pure. Martyrs are blameless. Ain't nobody in here blameless, though. Including me. Like, it just doesn't work like that. We all have darkness in us. Jealousy, greed, lust, rage, aggression, selfishness, sometimes just spitefulness. And it can come from this, it can come from this, it can come from this general sense of contempt, which starts with self-contempt. But if you're not telling the truth, of course you will hold yourself and others in contempt. You start telling the truth and you can get it back. You can get your self-respect back. It's going to be really hard for you to heal if you don't value yourself. If you don't value yourself. As I said in the beginning, the healing process is natural and spontaneous. It's already happening. You're already healing. Every time you go to bed and sleep and do a little death and wake up again the next day, you're born again, refreshed anew. Why would the trauma still be there again and again and again and again and again? So valuing ourselves is important, and telling the truth is a big part of that. This is a tough one. The second step in getting out of the way and letting healing happen is accept absolutely everything, just as it is, at least for now. That means you have to accept the injustice, you have to accept the ugliness of what has happened, you have to accept the implications for what it means about the world, you have to accept the implications of what it means about people. It's tough. It's really tough. There's ugliness in this world. Plenty of it. Plenty of it. But not just that. There's beauty as well. So there's a kind of vulnerability in this and bravery that's required. We want hard, shared fantasies. We want that hard illusion because, like a narcissistic shell, it protects us from the truth. But the truth is something much more complex and much more difficult. There's ugliness in the world. There's beauty in the world. There's beauty in us, and terrible, terrible darkness as well. This brings us closer to the truth again. But we have to accept it. So if you're jealous, or you were lustful, or you whatever in your last relationship and it kept you locked in, you have to accept that. If there's ugliness in you, then accept it. Just say, there's ugliness in me, there's darkness in me. Sometimes I'm full of rage, sometimes I'm full of contempt or resentment, and that's okay. That's okay. Total acceptance for everything. The reason why this is critical for the healing process is to do with the locus of control. So your sense of where things are coming from in life can either be internal or they can be external. You will not heal with an externalized locus of control. So let me put this in normal language. If you think all of the power and all of the agency in the world exists outside of you, which is what blameless codependents believe. I'm a pure martyr, I did nothing wrong, therefore I have no agency. Hi, come grab a seat. It's okay. Detention afterwards. No, I'm joking. The externalization of the locus of control is switching off the engine for your ability to heal. So if you go, okay, everything that has ever happened to me, everything that I'm experiencing is all outside of me, you can't heal. You really, really will never heal. If you internalize the locus of control and you prioritize that, you start looking at where you are powerful, where you are responsible, where you can do things. I know this is tough because you'll be like, well, how? That happened to me. I didn't sign up for that. I didn't consent to that. Okay, and that's true. And yet, if your locus of control is it happened to me, then you're powerless and you will not heal. So is this about reason and right and wrong, or is this about healing? I don't know. I don't know, because you can go back and forth in the court inside your mind and be like, who's to blame? And some of you have played that game a little bit. I think more than once, over and over again. Who did what to who? But I said, and then he said, and he told me he would never, but you know what he did? You know what? He did it anyway. Did he really? Okay, so who's to blame? It's definitely him. Okay, good. Where does that leave you? Nowhere. Nowhere. Blame is the body, and the body at this level, at this intuitive level, doesn't understand blame. Doesn't care who's at fault. We care who's at fault. If you like the yin and the yang principles, That's actually you taking yourself into yang, which is masculine, where you should be yin. So yin is the body, yin is intuition, yin is the unconscious, yang is conscious. Yang is the courtroom, is the judge. It's trying to find who's right and who's wrong. Okay, fine. Useful to a degree if you're in a divorce settlement or you want to figure out what happened, but not for healing. It's meaningless. It's meaningless. And if you hold court inside your head every day, you're externalizing the locus of control and you won't heal. You cannot heal. We must accept. Did you guys do Yin Yoga? You ever heard of Yin Yoga?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. I do it sometimes when I go to visit my mum. I go with my mum. It's very Freudian. And with the teacher is always giving us, like, because it's yin, she does normal yoga as well. And she'll always be saying, like, you have to submit to what is now. You have to submit to what is here now. Yin Yoga puts you back in the body. It puts you in a yin state. You follow what the teacher tells you to do, and then you suffer terribly. And you're counting the seconds, and you're going, my God, this is hell on earth. She made me do a toe stretch the other day. And I have to tell you, I didn't know that you could stretch your feet. And I didn't know how fucking agonizing it would be. I was in a lot of pain. And then you stay for 2-3 minutes in a pose until... You're a yoga teacher. You know all about this. You should be teaching them this stuff. So after the class, we'll do some body-based therapy. So for some things, we just have to accept it. Totally. Yourself, the person, the situation, the horror, the shame, the humiliation, all of it. Whether it's romantic, whether it's an employment scenario, whether it's a family situation or a cultural situation, nobody's blameless, and that's okay. It's a shitty thing that happened, and that's okay. It was shitty, right? It was a terrible, horrible, fucking ugly thing, yes? Yes. Yes, I'll get you there. I'll get you there.
It sounds almost like you're kind of suspending that right in front of you, you're observing it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of suspending it and waiting for that wave. Because I feel like there's chemical waves that I get sometimes of, like, you know, the relationship that I've had with someone, and they'll come back and then they'll realize it's just a wave of chemicals, of hormones, a reaction. And when you kind of wait it out, you're like, okay, I'll surf this wave.
Yeah.
And then it ends. There's an end to it. It can't continue indefinitely.
Those waves are coming because of a lack of acceptance. Yeah. So if I could be gendered for a second, and then I'll cut this from the YouTube video, women are much more susceptible to this than men, much more. On
a hormonal level?
It's hormonal, and it's a way of processing reality. So if you want the difference in yin and yang again, yin is idealism and optimism. Yang is hard cynicism and realism. We're the protectors. You're the ones who are supposed to make the world better. You're the ones who are supposed to be idealistic and think of how it could be. We're the ones who stop you from getting your head bashed in while you're thinking about that. So men tend to be cynical, and they tend to be less prone, therefore, to getting stuck with utopian ideas. Not that they don't get stuck, because men then can become anima-possessed, and then they can be essentially toxically feminine, as well as any woman can when that happens. But this is idealism. So what's keeping the waves coming is we've never hit rock bottom and accepted. This is where I advocate the Nietzschean concept of despair, which my female followers fucking hate when I say that. And also the Kierkegaardian idea of letting go of hope. Just let go. Oh, sorry, Kierkegaardian idea of despair and the Nietzschean idea of letting go of hope. I said it back to front. The reason why this is critical is to let go of the dream. Let go of the dream. Do you want me to give you a tip on this one that really, really helps? Just admit that you failed.
For me, the waves are a bit like a test. Like, are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
You said that you're over this and you're ready, so let me give you a bit more of it and see how you deal with it this time.
Mm-hmm.
Each time the waves get less and less and less, and I can just...
So these waves, it's idealism, it's fantasy, and it's ego. It's ego. You're fucked up. You're fucked up. It's okay. You failed. You tried to impose idealism on something. Didn't work. Let it go. It's ruined, destroyed. Then you despair. I'm never going to get that back. No, the time's gone. The relationship is dead. It's a corpse. Put the corpse down. It stinks. Cry, grieve, despair, and then grieve, and then you can move on, and then you will heal. When you hold on with the idealism, it gets worse and worse and more painful. There's a lady I like listening to on this, Marsha Linehan. She created dialectical behavioral therapy, which is one form of therapy that's been proven clinically time and again to help with borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder typically associated with women. There are plenty of male borderlines, but more women are diagnosed with it. It is hormonal. It is down to, I suspect, I can't say that with certainty, I suspect there's a hormonal vulnerability there towards emotional dysregulation. When we are emotionally dysregulated, then those waves that we're speaking of will come more and more, and they'll be strong, because the emotional surge brings with it delusion and illusion. Ah, here it is, I'm ecstatic about, yes, this can work this time. This time, the 34th time is the charm.
Thinking, isn't it?
Purely magical thinking, purely delusional magical thinking. So Marsha Linehan advocates for what she calls radical acceptance. It rests on letting go of the illusion of control and a willingness to notice and accept things as they are right now without judging. Those of you who are taking notes, we'll come back to this, but please write that down now. You cannot judge and heal. You cannot judge and heal. Judgment is not acceptance. Judgment is not acceptance. Turn the yang judge off for this. There are other courses, other things. I need you to switch it on. If you are in the initial phases of dating somebody, or you're thinking about getting a new job, that's when the judge switches on. You activate yang and you become ultra rational and remove all delusion and all magical thinking, and you weigh everything up with pure reason, but not here. Not here, not now. We're looking to heal, and we have to, what we're doing is we're trying to create an opening and a space so that healing occurs, because we do nothing. We do nothing. You sit, you breathe, you heal. That's it. It happens. Jocko Willink says the same thing, interestingly enough. A Navy SEAL and a commander says the same thing. In extreme ownership, leaders must own everything in their world. There is no one else to blame. So he takes what he learned in the Navy SEALs and he applies it to the corporate world. That's his shtick now. That's his thing. The concept of extreme ownership and radical acceptance lead to exactly the same point, which is the internal locus of control. It's not about right and wrong. It's not about reason. And it's not about victim blaming or forgiving. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Internalize your locus of control. Accept it. It's all yours. Extreme ownership, whatever happens, take ownership of it. Take ownership of it, because that's where all the power is and that's where all the healing is. This is from Nathaniel Brandon. The first step towards change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. So you're aware that you're not healing. And then the next phase is you just accept it. So part of your acceptance of being here tonight and part of our yin practice is, I'm not healing. Oh, so you're not perfect then? That sucks. You're not healing. You're not healing perfectly. You're not perfectly present and healing at all times. You're struggling to heal. Something has gone wrong. So you failed at that as well. Boo-hoo. You're human. You see what I'm saying? This gap between the delusional story, the shared fantasy or the individual fantasy and the reality, in that gap, that's where all the bad stuff happens. That's nothing good can happen in that gap. So we just have to accept things as they are, at least for the time being, in order to begin healing, so that we have this internalized locus of control. Do you all understand that idea, by the way? That's the idea of where things are coming from in your life. You want it to be internal. Obviously, things are happening to you. But when we're traumatized, we get knocked into a space where we think everything is happening to us. So now we have to push into a space that, no, it's us, so that we achieve balance, yin, yang, balance, integration. And they should be mutually complementary as well. If we don't accept what is first, we will never progress. So one of the points of the seminar tonight, my aspiration for it, is that as I'm talking to you, I'm going to talk to you about 50 minutes, give you a break, talk to you for another 20 minutes, is that you actually walk away with something where you start to notice after the seminar an acceleration in the healing process. These things will happen unconsciously, I hope. That's my aspiration, that you won't have to watch the video again and again, you won't have to read your notes again and again, but that you can get to a place where it just falls into place for you. So you become aware that some of the things that you're fighting, you don't need to fight anymore. It's not going to benefit you. These situations, these ghosts, they're long dead. But I can see the fight on you. Like some of you, most of you look like you're in a fight, and it looks like it's probably daily. It's a struggle. You don't have to do it. It's not helping you, and it's not protecting you in the future. These are the past. These are the ghosts of the past. Let them die. Let them rest. There's nothing we can do about the past. If you can't control it, you're not responsible for it. If you can't control something, you can't be responsible for it. You can't control the past. You can't control other actions. You're not responsible for it. But some of you have had the experience as codependents of feeling responsible for other people's actions, right? So when they do shitty things, you feel guilty. Again, it's a gendered comment, would get me into trouble, but women are more, in my observation, prone to this. It's like not like a logical fallacy, not a cognitive bias. It's a tendency. It's a tendency. So you take responsibility. Why? Don't know. Could be biological. Could be evolutionary. You raise children. You're responsible for other little humans. You take a man on, or if you're that way inclined, another woman on, and that romantic partner becomes like a child. Then you are responsible for them. You see how that weird boundary break? So easy to do. You love children. You love your partner. Like, how could it not get blurry? Unless somebody's next to you going, could you just draw a line there? That's a child, that's an adult. They're responsible for what they do. It sounds kind of cold, right? You've got to push people away. But love can't survive in a fusion merger scenario. We have to have boundaries. We have to have gaps between each other. Otherwise, love collapses. Well, it blurs and then it collapses and then it rots. If we don't accept ourselves as we are first, we will never generate change. So, those of you who are taking notes, if you're looking to generate change in yourself, accept yourself first. It's the non-acceptance that's stopping the change. This is starting to sound like a Louise L. Hay seminar. Do any of you remember? You do? Instant laughter, yeah. Louise L. Hay, I'm willing to change. You have to touch your throat chakra. I'm willing to change. But it's right? Because when we resist, that's not yin, that's yang. We're fighting. We're setting a boundary. We're getting muscular with it. When you grit and you muscle up, body gets hard. It's fine. It's fine. You might need that. You might need to sock somebody in the jaw one day. I don't know. They cut you up in traffic. It's Belgrade. I don't know. But for this, it's no good because these are memories. You can't muscle up against a memory. That's how you go crazy. And why energy is getting wasted because you're muscling up against an enemy. Some of you struggling with a bit of anger issues? Do any of you get like a few anger issues?
With everything that's going on.
Okay, I'm feeling it, man. It's okay, man. Feeling it.
I mean, just the whole mask thing and everything. So every day I get kind of reminded of, obviously this is about the external locus of control. So I think, oh, why is this happening to me right now? Oh, the stupid mask policy, it must be that. Oh, the stupid restrictions.
It ain't,
and I'm like, hang on, how much of this?
It ain't just the mask policy, trust me. I'm not going to linger on this because I have other stuff to get through with you, but I do have, whilst I have you here, do you think it's okay for women to get angry?
Yes, absolutely. Healthy anger.
So if you believe it's okay for women to get angry, is it okay for you personally to get angry?
Yes.
You don't have any incongruence when you say that? Like it's okay for me to be angry? Sorry?
It hasn't been received well by other people.
Hasn't been received well by other people.
And I've probably delivered it in the wrong way, but I think the anger was justified, yeah.
Do you think that generally there's an acceptance of women's anger? Do you think that there's any positive role models for female anger or aggression? What I'm leaning towards here is that there's a tendency to sort of think that it's ugly or unfeminine or taboo. I'm not a priest. I don't know whether that's true or not. Philosophically, what I would say is you have anger inside of you. You have aggression inside of you. It has to go somewhere. It has to be expressed in some way. It has to be owned in some way. If you cut from it and you split from it and you say, I'm not really fucking angry with this person right now, you'll get sick. You'll get sick. Your sense of humor dries up. Your sex drive will dry up. You get depressed 100% because what you repress becomes depressed. Anger, aggression is the opposite in some senses of depression. That's where joy comes from. That's where a sense of humor comes from. Positive expressions of anger are humor. Energy in the body. Some of you look like you're struggling with your energy levels, and that's why I asked about the anger issue. I'm not pointing people out. I'm saying some people. I don't know. I'm just looking around the room.
Can you tell us what is positive expression of anger?
So humor is a positive one. Having energy in the body is a positive expression of aggression. So in psychology, when we talk about the aggressive drive, it means, you have to use a different word. They have a word, libidinous. So it's like the life energy. We say libido and you think sex, but in psychoanalytic theory, the sexual drive is the lust for life. Everything. So if you...
Vitality, right? Kind of like...
Yeah, vitality, if you like, vitality. So if you haven't found yourself spontaneously laughing, dancing, singing in the last week or so, and I know some of you haven't, that can be an indication that we've fallen out of whack with our own aggression, with our own positive sense of how we can express aggression. It's okay to be angry. It's perfectly justified for you to be angry. It doesn't matter what body you're in. You should have anger. You should have aggression. It's keeping you alive. I know all of you were like, yeah, I have a right to be angry. But keep that in mind. You have a right to your aggression. You have a right to your anger. It's where it should be. There's nothing wrong with you because you have anger inside of you. That's where it should be. Okay, step number 3 is being deliberately and consciously kind to yourself, but you must check the intent. So if you are going to heal, then you have to set an intent that for a period of time where the healing is supposed to take place, that you're going to be consciously and deliberately kind with yourself. But the intent that we're checking is that we don't fall into this trap where we think that kindness is being weak-willed, self-indulgent, and slovenly. That is not kindness. That is cruelty. When I talk about the sullen malaise, I know sullen's kind of a weird English word, sorry, it's a bit arcane. It means sulky. It means bad-humored, bad-tempered. You have no energy, you're lazy, you're bad-tempered, you're full of contempt because of the overindulgence. Kindness is not being weak-willed. That's because that isn't kind. If I have a child and I'm weak-willed with the child, am I being kind to them? No. I have to discipline the child because that's a raw bag of impulse and energy and it's learning, so I have to keep boundaries. Of course, for me, it's much more pleasant if I'm just the child's mate and I just want to be mates with the kid all the time. But that's parenting, well, maybe not here, but like where I'm from, that's parenting today. People think that's great parenting. Yeah, I'm mates with my kids. It's wonderful. Is it? Your kids suck. They're a pain in the arse. They're a fucking pain in the arse because you're friends with them. So don't think that you have to be indulgent with yourself. Kindness could be, get up off the couch and go to the fucking gym. Kindness could be, it's time to go to work now. Because at the end of the day, when I'm talking about kindness, whatever leads to you feeling self-respect and feeling good and high energy, that to me is kindness. Whatever leads to you being more of who you were born to be, that to me is kindness. Everything else is a mess, this vague notion of compassion that we don't want. So treat yourself the way you would ideally treat a child. In the space where we're going to heal, you must have the sense that, okay, I'm going to keep this as a protected space and I'm going to treat myself with kindness. So there's no blame, there's no judgment, but that which needs to be done gets done. Hashtag self-care. Drink a bottle of wine in the bath. Post it on Instagram. That ain't self-care, man. That's not self-care. You know, I see people writing like, oh, if I just feel like I'm just going to sleep all week, I'm going to do that because hashtag self-care. Dude, no. Go to work. You know, do what you need to do. The intent here is a really, really important one. Those of you who've tried to heal and haven't, make sure that your will is strong. That your will is strong. I'm here to heal, not blame. Not blame. Your mind, your ego, so you'll go, okay, it's time to heal. What am I healing from? What that bastard did. Let's have a little think about what he did. Okay, we did that. Where's it got us? Nowhere. Nowhere. You're there for you. So here's another thing we need to do is we're internalizing the locus of control. You have to engage in healthy narcissism. That love, that energy, that time, that attention, even if you hate them, that is spilling out of you, it needs to come back to you. You've got to pick up your toys and go home. I'm talking about narcissistic abuse now, specifically. Even if it's a family unit or whatever, you cannot be bleeding out time and attention and emotion over something in the past or a person who is like that and think you're going to heal. Pick up your toys and go home. Take your energy back and bring it back to you. Plug back into you. Healthy narcissism. It's non-exploitative. It's not entitled. It doesn't affect anybody else, but it's positive self-regard. We were all born with narcissism. It's natural. It's good. You should have. If we scrub the narcissism out of you, you'd be a very odd person and very difficult to deal with. So you want that healthy narcissism. You have to plug back into yourself at some point. So this is the type of thing I'm talking about, but you have to have the will, the intent. I am going to heal, not them. You can't heal anyone. I can't heal anyone. I'm here tonight to give you some information. I wish you well. And then when you leave, goodbye. That's healthy. Because if I'm concerned with, I'm not going to send you emails afterwards, be like, are you healing? Are you okay? You got any dishes you want me to do whilst I'm in Serbia? That ain't going to happen. Because that would be weird, right? But that's what we do with our exes and our partners and mothers and so on. Narcissistic mothers. There's some daughters of narcissistic mothers in here tonight, Boris. Right? Yeah. I can see it. Yeah.
It's avoidance again, isn't it? It's avoiding your...
Yeah, of course. So, as you're moving forward with this, another key element to it, how dare you? You will be shot. Another key element to it is bringing yourself back to yourself. What has happened? And that, I'm going to have to call the man. That won't be easy if you're used to looking after other people and if you're letting your time and your attention and your energy bleed out into other people. That's not going to be easy. So you have to bring it back to yourself. So you have to have the will to heal. Okay. One final point on intent, and then I'll grab the technician. When we're talking about healing, we don't usually talk in terms of intent and strength. Wowie. It's like a poltergeist. But you have to think in terms of intent. You have to focus on having the strength to get the job of healing done, because things will come in to distract you. Your own mind, your own ego is going to come in to distract you. And it's going to say, no, what we need to focus on is on the past. So you have to be very, very strong, and your intent has to be very, very focused. What's that doing to the shot? With it flickering, is it good? It's nice. Definitely move over here so we don't put people into fits. What I suggest, folks, is we take I was going to do a break in about 5 minutes, but we'll go a little bit early. We'll take a 5-minute break now. I'll try and get this fixed, and then I'll take questions in the next section, okay? Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or anything I said in the last section? You surely do. Stop lying. Okay. If you have any thing that you want to ask me or anything you want to say, just put your hand up before you say anything, and I'll ignore you because I'm cruel and narcissistic and I don't care. That's not true. I just like saying it. I enjoy saying it.
Too much time with Sam back
Oh dear, yeah.
He's rubbing off on you, that kind of like,
I do.
I like the evil.
I do let him rub off on me sometimes in exchange for information. Yeah. Stop it. No. Put your hand down. No. So I'm sorry. It's the time of night. My brain hits a certain time of night and I'm like, we shouldn't be working. Let's just talk nonsense. Okay, so serious mode. Hello, Belgrade. Welcome to the Heal the Narcissism seminar. Did I do a good enough job of relating things back to family and culture? I'll come back to culture and nation a little bit more in this section. So the fourth step that we have that we should be aware of is not to ignore the body. Okay, so psychotherapy, psychoanalytic theory, a lot of these practices, they ignore your body. They act like you're a mind and a body separate, but you are a body-mind, one thing, integrated. How do you know that you're depressed? Typically, you feel like shit inside your body. There's all kinds of depression. When I get it, if I get a bad dose of depression, it feels like physical pain in my chest. I feel like my chest is being crushed and my limbs won't work, they won't move. So it's somatic feedback that we're receiving from the body that lets you know, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I don't feel good, or I'm fearful, or jealous, or whatever it is. So we can't ignore the body. And this psychology has been doing this. So it has to acknowledge the body physically and also hormonally. A tremendous amount of what is going on, we're going to find out, has been due to hormonal imbalance, neurotransmitter imbalance, overactivation, underactivation. It's going to be a brave new world, provided we're still here, 20, 30 years' time. If psychology doesn't keep up with that, it will be redundant. It runs the risk of being redundant now because, well, frankly, it's collapsing. It's created labels for things that we have no idea what you can't take them out of, what is this called? Culture-bound syndrome. You can't take narcissism out of the West and apply it to other cultures. It just doesn't function. It ceases to be, as an example. Okay, so we have to come back to the body. Oh, there's a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen Buddhist. Keeping your body healthy is an expression of gratitude to the whole cosmos, the trees, the clouds, everything. There is a certain state, I didn't put this in my PowerPoint slides, but there is a certain state of mind and emotion that we can access that makes healing more likely. And I would say it's somewhere between reverence and gratitude. You ever get that, like on a walk sometimes, and your head clears a little bit, or you see the stars, or you see sunlight, or a cat that you weren't expecting? If you like cats, if you hate cats, it's not going to work. And you just go into a quiet moment of appreciation. Appreciation, gratitude, reverence. This also opens a doorway where healing can just spontaneously take place. We want to work away from that sullen malaise, the sense of like we're angrily resisting the fact that bad things happened. They did happen. They did happen, and they are bad. You're not wrong to judge them from a moral viewpoint. But that is yang, and you have to clean yang with yin. You have to clean yin with yang. Okay, so you have to come back to this state. This is pure yin. It's a very naive, trusting way of viewing the world. Life is beautiful. It's full of wonder. Nature is amazing. We really don't know how we're here. There is still mystery. Beautiful mystery. I had a few moments of this when I was at the fortress today. I did a little walk, and I had a few moments of that. And I saw a cat, and the sun was hitting the river in just such a way, and so on. And then I don't know what happened. Probably some egotistical thoughts came in, and I was like, I don't know, something happened. It disappeared, as it does, comes and goes. But the awareness that this is an important part of the healing process, I think, is important. This doesn't sound like New Age waffle, does it? You can tell me. Put your hand up. A Satori moment. Yes, yes, yeah. Yeah, it is. I tried to look on Google Translate today. How do I say you must listen? Is it "Ty musisz słuchać"? Ty moraš slušat. Ty moraš slušat. This is patriarchal. How do I say this is not a democracy? Ovo nije demokratie. That's the new one I'll take home. Ovo nije demokratie. It's a patriarchal, fascist state where I mansplain to you your feelings back to you and then tell you to accept it for 2 hours and then charge you money. I told you it's the time of night. Okay, so these moments, I think it shouldn't be impossible to access reverence. It shouldn't be some weird like cult or religious thing where you have to go through a ritual or something. You should just be able to say like, what do I love? Who do I love? What is amazing? What is beautiful? And just dwell on it for a moment. Where are the stars? They're above us, they're below us, they're to the left of us, they're to the right of us. Did you know all gold in the world is from an exploding star? It's literally pieces of exploded star. I'm planning, that's what you're wearing. Isn't that beautiful? Thank God we weren't here. That would have fucking hurt. What happened to Og? He got hit by a piece of exploding star. He fucking evaporated. So that reverence, because it takes us out of ego, it takes us out of that state of solemn malaise, it brings us the appreciation, then we can be in the body. It's actually quite pleasant to be back in reality. So here's another little thing for you. Healing can only take place in the present moment. That is very yin, isn't it? Super yin philosophy, that. In the body, in the moment, in this reality, not out there in delusion and fantasy and mental torture and emotional flashbacks. Okay, I'm going to release an interview with one of my friends. His name is Danny. He is a big muscly chap. He's a former pro bodybuilder, and his big thing at the moment is sleep. And I'll release that. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll put it out tomorrow. And if you can understand our accents, you will enjoy it very much. I get more and more Scouse the more I talk to him. But he's really opened my eyes to sleep. In terms of healing and recovery, if we're not managing our sleep, we have no chance. And it's physical. It's physical. I'll let him explain the science of it in the video, but there are certain states your brain just needs to get to sort emotion and memory. What we're struggling with, folks, is emotion and memory. Our trauma, our pain that we can't heal from is emotion and memory. And when we can't apply the appropriate and proportionate amount of emotion to the right memories, we either lose the memories or the memories haunt us and torture us. At the cultural level, this is true also. The cultural level, this is true also. We don't know how to sort historical events, or we misrepresent memories, or we lose memories. That's even worse. Cultures that lose their history. In the West right now, in America particularly, it doesn't even have that long of a history to lose, but it's lost its history. It's got like a major case of historical illiteracy. It seems to think terrible things only happen in other places far, far away.
It's also like an active...
You put your hand up. How do I say this is not a democracy? Ovo nie demokracja. Ovo nie demokracja.
I'll reply in Polish. Jest demokracja.
There's no such thing. Go on. Go on. But there is such thing as Poland. There's no such thing as democracy. Oh, God. Go.
They're deleting it. They're actively trying to...
Delete history.
Erase history.
Yeah.
It's this kind of Orwellian process that
Very Orwellian.
in the States. That's the
Very
scary thing.
Orwellian.
It's not forgetting it, because forgetting can be natural. It can be a positive thing sometimes. We need to forget. We're designed to forget things. It could be healthy, but if a whole culture has an agenda to delete history as a way of creating a new kind of, semi-communist way of thinking where everyone will have the same thoughts and will all be equal that way.
Don't mention
no one will have
communism.
idea.
What are you, crazy? Don't mention communism. Sure, please. Yeah, it's a terrible shame. It's a terrible, terrible shame, and it is a kind of, Stalinist thing. Just delete it out, and then see what happens. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, okay, just fucking get on with it, then, you idiots. Go ahead. They wouldn't. No, of course, because we are not historic. We are Europeans, darling, and we are not these idiot Americans. I can never release this video now. No, there is in America. There's been a protection against history, so there is a naive sense. There's a geographical illiteracy. Not having a pop at Americans. The studies have been done. There's a historical illiteracy, and there's a sense that America is the central part of the planet. Terrible things happen elsewhere, far away, in countries with weird names that I can't pronounce. Well, they didn't happen that long ago, and they're not that long away in our future either. As far as this historical deletion thing and the mass psychosis that we're seeing at the moment, this collective shadow possession, I do believe it ends in gulags and genocide. I was interviewed about this recently, and they said, why would you believe that? And I'm like, because it always has done. The best predictor.
Superior, we kind of think, well, it would never surely happen.
You should
So
put your
friends-
hand up.
Sorry.
No. The best predictor, that doesn't mean I'm going to answer you. The best predictor of future behaviour is past behaviour. So history repeats. You may speak now. Make it brief.
Just the arrogance, the sheer arrogance.
I have plenty of it, yes. I'm from Britain.
Yeah.
We're taking over again. Because frankly, I've had enough of this rubbish. I want America back. Go on.
Yeah, so the arrogance of countries like America who think, no, we would never do something like that. We would never do something like that. And like even Australia right now, I think people in this room must be aware of what's going on in Australia.
Surely they are.
And I find that frightening. It's still, we still hold on to this. We're like, no, it can't be as bad as they say. It can't be. If you do say it's bad, or if you make a comment or a comparison to 1930s Germany, you must be, in line with conspiracy theories, or you must be indulging in...
You're alt-right.
Yeah.
You're an alt-right conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
So as long as we have the capacity to sleep and we sort out our sleep hygiene, do any of you struggle with sleep? Yeah. And just a few tips. No caffeine after midday. If you're struggling to sleep, get up earlier. It sounds ridiculously stupid and unhelpful, but it actually works. Exercise earlier in the day, 10,000 to 15,000 steps every day, preferably outside. Fill the lungs with air, move around, get tired. Don't eat anything 4 hours before you're trying to sleep because it heats your body up and you want your body to cool, because sleeping is the most yin thing you can do. You do it inside a bed, inside your room with the curtains closed, in the dark, in silence, and then you do nothing for 8 beautiful hours. It's wonderful. Why aren't we doing it now? Let's stop this seminar. Put your hands up if you've achieved 8 hours of unbroken sleep in the last 7 days.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do that to show off. It was last night. Thank you. Yeah, it's really, really important. Also, movement. Any movement will help. I like dancing. If you can dance, dance. If you can do yoga, do yoga. You need to stretch your body. You need to pressure your body. Your body needs pressure. Your body needs pressure. Your mind needs pressure. You need pressure. It keeps you strong. Builds your will. Builds your intent. The more will and intent you can build through training your body, through meditation, through hard styles of yoga like Yin, which will test your will. It tests your will because it's just you versus you. This will help. All of this helps to build the strength that we need to heal. It takes boundaries to heal because we have to protect that child. We have to protect the most vulnerable parts of you and allow them the space in order to heal. In order to change, is that on the screen? People need to become aware of their sensations and the way that their bodies interact with the world around them. Physical self-awareness is the first step in releasing the tyranny of the past. At the national and cultural level, this would be like saying, are we aware of how we feel as a nation, or are we pushing these things down? What are we shoving into the shadow? What are we repressing? What are the things that are bubbling up that we're not happy with? In the family unit, this would be the same thing. We'd have to say, what are the things that we're not saying to each other? What are the little bits and pieces of aggression or contempt that we're showing each other that are building up? So the family, I claim, I don't think it's normal in Jungian psychology to claim it, has its own collective shadow, as a nation has its own collective shadow. And then a family can become collectively shadow possessed. The only evidence that you could see of that in the literature is when they talk about secondary and tertiary trauma, which means if I come home with PTSD and I reintegrate back into my family, my PTSD transfers. And we know this because we see all of the family members in the unit engaging in more self-soothing and self-destructive behaviors. If there's alcoholism, gambling, pornography, video game usage, overeat, whatever, it all goes up when one person comes back into the family unit with PTSD. I would say that's evidence of saying that that's a collective shadow. The family has its own collective shadow. What are we back to here? Acceptance of the self, telling the truth, and if we're in pain, saying I'm in pain. You have to be able to say to yourself if something sucks. So a country also needs to have that feedback loop and to be able to say this sucks and to have someone hear it, because if nobody hears it, you may as well not say it. In the individual, that needs to be you. So you're in charge of you. So if you're saying this sucks and I don't like it, you have to honor that message. You can't just be like, shut the fuck up and get on with it. Don't be so weak. Don't be so lazy. These are hard superego injunctions. They're bullying, they're judgmental, and they're angry, and they will stop the healing process dead in its tracks. The final step, this is hugely important. It's last, not because it's least in importance, but to sandwich the idea. We started with telling ourselves the truth, and at the end, we need to say, we have to change the story that we have, and the story needs to reflect the truth, okay? If I sit down with you and ask you what trauma you're looking to heal from that you've not healed from, you will go into a story. You will go into a story. You'll switch on like a computer program running a piece of software. Well, this is how it happened. You've told the story before to yourself, to others, to therapists, to your mom, I don't know, to whoever, over and over and over again. But there are parts of your story that are not true. Not because you're a liar, but because you're human, you're fallible. There are things you can't see. There's much of us that drifts off into the shadow and drifts off into the unconscious, and we can't see it, we can't find it. It behooves us, what's a better way of saying that? Stop using arcane language, you pompous fuck. It would do us good. What did you say? I swore to God you spoke in Serbian then. What the fuck's going on here? Speak English. I heard Serbian. I'd say it's this time of night. So where was I? Where was it? Pompous. Yeah. Oh, behooves. Thank you. Yes. Hooves. Little hooves.
I see a horse when you say that word. Yeah.
That's why I don't want to say it. It would do as well to acknowledge that there are things that we can't see in ourselves that we should see. So the story that we're telling about it, we should assume that it's infected with shadow. Does that make sense? The story that you have, assume it's false. In some ways, critical ways, review. Go back. If you're not healing, you probably haven't told the whole story, the fullest story, the truest story. How will you know, you're asking? You'll feel it somatically. You'll feel it in the body. This is the truth. And you'll feel good. Even if it's shitty, you'll feel good because it's liberating. The truth vibrates at a different frequency and it sets you free. It's a liberation frequency. Lies bind, truth frees. Even the lies we tell ourselves, they bind. They bind us in darkness. They bind us in the unconscious. We have to get into the light. Whatever it is, it's fine. Whatever happened, it's fine. Because in the light of our Lord, all is well. You will be forgiven. I just heard myself sound vaguely religious then. I thought I'd go with it. It's kind of true. There's something to that. The idea that in that light, whatever you conceive of God or higher consciousness or a superior, supreme being as being, in the light of that awareness, everything is okay. Everything is okay. These little failures, these little sins. Sin is probably another way of talking about the collective unconscious or the shadow. It's all fine. It's all okay. The worst of it is all okay in the big scheme of things, depending on your perspective. If you want to heal, those of you who are taking notes, write this down. I didn't put it on the PowerPoint presentation. You must forgive yourself. You must forgive yourself. And it takes great humility to do that. In humility, in reverence, forgive yourself. If you won't forgive yourself, you won't heal. And tonight would have been a wasted journey. Not for me. Ha ha ha. Is he nice when you met him? Yeah, he's kind of weird. He's a weird guy, kind of eccentric. I didn't get his sense of humor. I like it when people walk out like that. They're like, Did you like him? So, meanings are not determined by situations, but we determine ourselves by the meanings we give to situations. Alfred Adler of the Trinity of Jung, Adler and Freud, he is ignored way too much. That was a smart dude. Adler was a really, really smart guy. He would advocate for looking at people based on their actions. So if you want to know where you have an unconscious shadow, look at what you've done, your repeated patterns of behavior for the last 3 years. Take an objective view, non-judgmental. Imagine that somebody else is looking at it. Imagine that I'm looking at it. What would I see? What would I pick up? Where are the patterns of self-defeat? Where are the patterns of giving too much of yourself? Where are the patterns of giving too much of yourself and then being angry afterwards and full of resentment with others and with yourself? Are they there? For most of us in this room, the answer will be yes, myself included. Codependents are like this. This is what we do. We give away way too much, and then we're really pissed off when it's not reciprocated. There's a covert contract. Nobody said they were going to reciprocate. You started it. I started it when you gave too much. And they just went, okay. If they were shadow integrated and a higher order noble being, they'd be like, no, thank you. That's quite enough of your love for me. And they would have showed restraint. But that's a rare human being. So it's our givingness that does it. And then we assign meanings. We are assigning meaning to situations. That's what we do. We're meaning-making machines. Can you think about the ways in which actually there is no meaning? It's kind of horrifying, nihilistic, ultra-Zen, ultra-Kierkegaardian, but it helps sometimes. If you look in terms of the cosmos and the universes and all of that, the meanings that we're assigning here, a lot of them are trauma-based, culture-based, and culture really is intergenerational trauma. Culture is written by intergenerational trauma. Language is intergenerational trauma. Whoa, it's like psychedelics. Language is rooted in trauma. It's wounds. We speak in symbols. Symbols are carved into rock, they're carved into wood, they're carved into human beings as tattoos. It's trauma. It's trauma. Where is meaning coming from? Pain. Pain is meaning. Fucking hell, Richard, this is dark. Sounds like some weird album. Some weird industrial metal album. Language is pain. But it is, if you think about it. So the meaning that we ascribe to things is rooted in trauma. Be careful. Be careful. Designating meaning to your story. He did this, so therefore. Maybe. I don't know. You don't know. Philosophically, it's really hard to know what it means. And as we withdraw meaning and we pull back and we get perspective on meaning, you'll find it hurts less. So there's another example. Writing is yang, because you use a phallic thing to squirt out meaning onto the page. That's yang. Don't you? Listen, I'm already being silly. You don't be silly with me. There'll just be pure silliness, a loop of silliness. Thank you for bringing the yin in. Focus. So that's yang. Language is yang. You speak things into being. The words, they become law. They become the commandments. You wag your finger. Thou shalt not. That's yang. Ascribing meaning is a judgment, and that is yang. Be careful. Yin, 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 yin. Be careful. Pull back. Let it be what it is. Let it be. Let it. Let. Just permit. Accept. Permit. I'm talking healing now. We're not doing self-protection. It's not a, kill your enemies seminar. It's for you to heal. Let it be. Don't write on it. Don't write commandments off the back of it. Don't carry heavy tablets of stone that you're going to use to judge people in the future. It was what it was, not what it was not. I know that sounds woo, but this is the place we have to come from. Okay, that is what it was. Can I live with that for now? Can I live with that for one breath, for 2 breaths, for 3 breaths? Can I permit that to be exactly as it is? Okay, yeah, I can. And in that 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths, a door opens. You start to heal because you're not plucking at those fucking wounds. Leave it be. Give it time. Give it space. The story you're living is revealed by your actions and not your words. Who lives who finds that sometimes they're hypocritical and their actions don't match their words? Oh, you slow-handed fuckers. Okay. Come on now. It's human. It's a human thing. My ideals don't match what I do because I do based on my feelings, not on my reasonings. I feel that way, so I do that way. My ideas are over here. It's why it's fun to philosophize. Go down, have some of that gunpowder coffee you drink here, get a little bit high, start babbling, philosophizing, telling each other who you are, telling yourself who you could be, and just disappearing into idealism. great, it's harmless, there's no problem. But in that idealism, we create shared fantasies and we create ideals. And then there's a gap between what we said and what we do. And we start to trick ourselves. We're falling over our own intelligence, our own imagination in many ways. The things that distinguish us from other animals, what would they be? Imagination, memory. That's it. That's it. What is trauma? Imagination, memory, or memory plus imagination. Emotional flashbacks, it's memory plus imagination. We're making it real today as though it happened this morning. Fucking happened 15 years ago. That's how powerful our minds are. So this is why we need to get out of the way. Ask yourself, what am I doing? Not what am I saying? You say this, you say that, you know, I have this belief, I am into this political ideology, da 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 da. What do you do? What do you do? What are you giving your energy to? Fly on the wall. I watch you day to day. What am I going to see? What am I seeing you give your energy to? Where are the defeats? Where is the shame? Where are the victories? Where are you doing well? What are the things that you're not doing, that you could be doing, that you should be doing? These are the things that count. That's all shadow work. That's real shadow work. Not lighting candles and gazing at yourself in the mirror. I've seen those bloody YouTube videos. I know what's out there. What patterns are showing up if you look at what you do? What character are you playing in this story? You're in a story, don't think you're not. You're in a game, don't think you're not. What's the character? What is this character doing? Look at the character. There's a concept in psychology called looping. So what you believe to be true about yourself becomes true about yourself. The character you think you're playing takes over. It's like method acting your way through life. If you're not healing, but you want to heal, maybe the character you're playing doesn't heal. So maybe it's time to play a different character. What would you lose? Here's a good question from the Adlerian tradition. What would you lose if you healed? What would you lose if you healed?
A certain attachment to
How dare you not put your hand up? Yes, you put your hand up. Go on.
Thing which is familiar.
It's familiar.
That's the biggest fear in that. Yeah, you lose something that you already know in which you feel safe in a way. Although that's perhaps it sounds problematic, but I believe it's that it's the fear which is in the core of our beings, I would say.
There is a fear in the core of our beings. It's called the fear of the unknown. So this dusty, ratchet, nasty old blanket that you're pulling over yourself is nasty and ratchet, but it's yours and you know it. It's familiar. It should have been gotten rid of a while ago, but it's yours and it's familiar. What's the option? The milky void? The unknown? Nothing is more terrifying to the human mind than the unknown. So some of us are not healing because we fear the unknown. That's what we lose. We lose that which is familiar. There's a Thich Nhat Hanh quote I nearly put up for this, but it's saying the same thing. Like we stay with our suffering because our suffering is familiar and we fear the unknown territory of non-suffering. So we stay with the suffering. What else could you lose if you healed? Righteousness. Righteousness. That role, that character, you're a martyr, you're blameless, you did no wrong. Sometimes when the ego is, so you all know what a narcissistic injury is. So when you experience a narcissistic injury, the ego is pricked, but then you know through pain that the ego is there and your sense of self increases. Does that make sense? Your pain increases your sense of self in that way. So suffering, martyrdom can be ego inflating. It can make the ego stronger because it's pushing back against you. Oh, this is my story. You won't believe what happened to me. It's so interesting and fascinating. You would lose that. You go back to being a blank slate. You're healed. Wowie. Okay, what do I do with my fucking free time? I'm spending so much time hating people. I don't know. But tennis, I guess. I don't know. You've got to do something else. So think about the character that you're playing and think about what you would lose if you healed. If it's not a story of healing that you're living, how will you heal? If you're not living a healing story, how are you going to heal? You want to heal, but you're not living a healing story. You're living a story of vengeance. You're living a story of hatred or resentment. You won't heal. The story is more powerful than you are. The character is more powerful than you are. These are, when we talk about unconscious archetypes in the Jungian tradition, he was often thinking of the tarot. And the tarot represent archetypes. These are unconscious. They're more powerful than we are. They've been with us for countless permutations of humanity. We love stories. We love archetypes. and we all want to play the hero. Can't all be heroes. That doesn't make any fucking sense, systemically speaking. So think about that. The story is stronger than you are, and the characters are stronger than you are. Now I shall take questions formally. I'm ready. Question me. I said it like that. Sorry, go ahead. You put your hand up before.
Going back to discipline and that idea of intent and will.
Mm-hmm.
To what extent do we actually know that discipline is authentic? In terms of we make ourselves disciplined, we think we're in the right direction.
Yeah.
To what extent that's been an extension of what we've been doing, but we're telling ourselves that it's a new way of discipline, and that it could be a different way of channeling the same coping mechanisms. and the same-
Girl, you don't gotta make shit so fucking complicated. You say you want to do a thing, you go do the thing, even if it sucks. It's discipline.
So you talk about the vibration, so you will feel the rewards, you will reap the rewards in terms of how you feel and how you function.
If you're tuned in somatically with your body,
Yeah.
and you're doing something that you think is kind of full of shit or weird or hypocritical, you got to stop. Don't ignore your body. But if it's the message from your body is, I want to lie on the couch and eat Pringles and I don't want to go for a jog, then discipline moves past that.
Yeah.
So you have to be emotionally literate. You need to be somatically literate to know the difference.
My psychologist recently.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, wait.
Brace yourself. Yeah, brace
Go
yourself.
on.
She's no longer my psychologist. That's part of.
This was the last thing she said.
This was actually was, and going back to this whole thing of instinctive understanding of your own body and knowing that you're doing something which is on the right path.
Yeah.
She said to me, I know you like running, right? I know you like running, but I don't think you should do your running anymore. I think it's not serving you. And she, for like a year and a half, I had really nice conversations with her. She was like, yeah, running's great. I'm glad you like running. And then last session, I won't say what happened, but she basically...
You ran out.
I wish I did. But I didn't. But it was just a weird comment to make after having a very strange session with her. She said something completely not related to what we were talking about. She said, by the way, just as you leave, stop that running. It's not serving you anymore. I was like, what?
That's weird.
Yeah, it was very weird and very personal and kind of like not related to what we were talking about.
I always say to people, like when it comes to the exercise stuff, I have no idea. Everybody has a thing.
Yeah.
I like going to the gym and playing with the weights.
Yeah.
I'm like a kid playing with toys. I go over there, I go over here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Just let the ADHD flow, man. Or I'll do martial arts. And occasionally I make myself do yoga because I'm not as young. I have to do yoga, otherwise bits of me break, like my knee, which is too much yang, not enough yin. And so
My discipline is to run every day, and it brings me so much pleasure, and it brings me like a sense of perspective and everything. She just kind of slammed that down.
You can't say that to somebody. You can't, like there's no circumstances where you can say that to somebody. If it helps you and it's making you feel good, then you do it. I don't know. Like there's not a cookie cutter scenario. Like you can't look at somebody and be like, oh, she's definitely never going to do MMA. So I'll tell her to go and do dancing. I don't know. She might fucking love MMA. She might want to get to the gym and smash the pads. I don't know.
It's a strange thing to say for a psychologist, given that most
It's very directive. Very directive.
Exercise serves serotonin and the brain.
Well, unless she's a physiotherapist and she's like, it's knackering your knees or something, but she's not. She's outside of the scope of what she's supposed to be doing, for sure. What was your question?
About discipline.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong direction.
How do you know whether it's authentic or not? It's the intent that's authentic or not. The discipline is just what gets you to go do it. If your question is more like, how do I know whether me obsessively running is like a trauma response, you have to be emotionally literate. You have to be emotionally literate and be like, okay, because for me training in the gym, sometimes it's a trauma response. And I'll push myself until the point where I feel like I've got the flu. And it'll just be like, my hormone, you can't lift every day. Your body's just not designed for it. Your hormones get depleted and you just feel like shit. But if I don't stop myself, there is like an ADHD fight response. I'm hyperactivated and I'm getting it's obsessive compulsive. I do not want to leave. I want to stay and keep training.
But do you get like an
Sometimes
inner
it's like
dialogue
that.
as well from that as well? I find when I'm running, I can also have an inner dialogue where things do surface and it's like some of the things are uncomfortable and it's like a...
No, I have beautiful, beautiful silence. Inside my mind, all the demons are silent.
When you
And
exercise.
and I'm just like, just keep lifting, then they won't speak. Just blissful silence. Next question. Yes, I haven't asked you yet.
Regarding imposter syndrome, I'm trying to heal that.
Okay.
So if we need discipline to treat that syndrome, and we are going through this internal war where we lose all our energy, when we wanna run away, when we feel that terror of doing something that we can mess up, and we can have some consequences in our job, and we literally want to jump out of our skin. So how to apply discipline over there? Because it's hurting our body. Our body is screaming, please go do something else, whatever, just don't stay here, it's dangerous. So
What are you trying to do that's making your body say, my God, I want to jump out my skin?
simple stuff.
Simple stuff.
Yeah, something that we feel that will be visible at the customer side, so it's making me unpleasant that everybody will know that I messed up. And
So-
that never happened, but the fear is always there.
Sorry?
Blocking fear.
Blocking fear. So your fear is that they're going to know that you messed up?
Yes.
And can you mess up?
Yes.
And what's the terrible consequence if you mess up? What happens?
Well, I don't know, my shame.
It's a shame.
I don't wanna
You,
be touched in my shame.
you feel bad. So it's in your body.
Terrible.
You don't have a boss who's going to like scream at you or something because you made a mistake. You called it imposter syndrome. I suggest we change that story to just saying it's perfectionism. And that you're just demanding perfection from yourself. Who was demanding perfection of you in your childhood?
Well, I tried to think of that, but it turns out it was always me.
It was always you?
Yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
Out of the room.
So what can happen?
Actually, it was the inversion. None of the things that I could do was right. So it was not demanding of perfectionism. It was the matter that I never could do anything right in.
You got it. You got it, yeah. So that's it.
So it's not actually demanding perfectionism. You could never achieve something like that
Yeah.
if you have that kind of family
So,
relation.
okay. So you see where the perfectionisms come from.
Yeah, okay, but it is a stupid attempt because there is no way you can please somebody who can't be pleased. So
Okay,
why perfectionism?
so intellectually you know that you're being perfectionistic because you were raised in a family unit, not where perfection was demanded of you, but where, how did you describe it?
You couldn't do the right thing.
You can never do right. No.
Never, but you will mess up really a lot.
So you were told that whatever you do, it's going to be bad, you're going to mess up a lot.
No, please do it, go for it. I know you can do it, but finish that better.
So if you did do something, it was never good enough.
Something like that.
That's a classic state for designing perfectionism in a child. Like if I wanted to install perfectionism in a child, I'd be like, go do that. And then they'd do it. And I'd be like, oh, this, yeah, I know you're only 4. But you see when you draw a fucking house, it's not actually flat Sally, okay? And Daddy doesn't look like that. Yeah, I'm going to have healthy kids. Yeah, that's how perfectionism is built. So there's an internal ego injunction that's going on there that says I have to be absolutely perfect because anything less than that will lead to me feeling shame. So then really beyond the perfectionism, the issue that we have is just an internal sense of shame. So if you can deal with that, which is probably an emotional flashback, if you can deal with that emotional flashback, then you would lose it. You would be able to say, okay, I'm going to do the job to the best of my abilities, the same as every other idiot in socks around me. Because as you look around you, you see a huge amount of incompetence. True or false, yes. So you're doing better than them. So I had this when I was writing a book last year, and in the end to get over the perfectionism, I was like, look, if it's a fucking 8 out of 10 book, if it's a solid 8, it's pretty good, dude. Just send it to the fucking publisher. It's an 8. You're not Dostoevsky. It's not going to be a 10. Let it go, man. And then I was like, okay, so there's a little bit, and you can have a sense of humor about it and be like, okay, what am I trying to do right now? What's happening internally? Oh, that's interesting. I think I'm trying to be a perfectionist right now. I'm just going to do the best job I can, and it's better than the people around me. It's good enough for the client. That's good enough. Good enough is good enough. That's a healthy core belief to run. So it's actually shame that probably needs looking at there. Somebody else's hand went up. Was it yours? Yeah.
I was trying to ask, I mean, these steps are quite nice.
Mm.
And
They're great, aren't they? It's a good seminar, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it was good. It was... Could have been better, Richard, honestly.
I didn't want to sound like that, but most of us came to one of these steps or few of them, or since now, I don't know, around 30 years or something, we already have some life experience in something, read, develop, fail, and then succeed, never mind. But I'm a bit more curious about what are the moments in, it's a bit hard for me to explain this, but most common mistakes that we made, or moments when we are perhaps weak, and when all these things can actually, we're doing fine, but then something, like for example, I noticed that you mentioned ego flashbacks, if I can say it like that, which are enough to that we return a few steps back, and they can prolong process of healing for many years, 3, 4, 10, 15. Can we put some kind of attention to those kind of moments? If we can put it in some kind of, how to say, general things, like general weak moments, then if you can understand what I'm asking.
I'm gonna ask you a series of questions now.
Okay.
Prepare yourself.
I didn't explain.
No, you did fine. And I know what you're asking, but I don't think you know what you're asking. So I'm gonna ask you some questions. Are you worried that you're gonna make progress and then something bad will happen and all the progress will get washed away?
No.
What are you worried about?
I'm actually not worried, but I would have a lot of use of sorry.
You're okay.
Simply we fight our battles, and some of us are stronger in some ways, and we go easier on one part, and then other some other we are weaker on some other spots, and
Can you think of a hypothetical situation that you're thinking of? So not you, but someone who's like you, and they're making progress in their healing, and then something happens. What's the something that would happen?
Well, we have a few examples of this during our conversation. For example, when you said you mentioned those moments of emotions, of I think that many of us probably went through that. So it's important that we know to let it go. So we are doing our healing, but those moments, for example, I was asking, can we talk about those moments? Like that is one of the examples when we need to acknowledge it, to accept it, and let it go. It will pass. Because if we don't know that,
I'm
quite
gonna
an important thing.
I'm gonna interrupt you. When you're talking about those moments, you're talking about an emotion.
For example.
An emotional wave, yeah?
Yeah, emotional wave in which we, for example, return.
What would happen as a consequence of you experiencing an emotion? What would a bad thing be that could happen as a consequence of you feeling an emotion?
Well, for example, if we have some traumatic relationship, for example, that is I think the most common case, and we are doing everything that we can to leave that situation, person, whatever. In those kind of circumstances, whatever we do, we will return. We will make that phone call, for example.
You can say me. You don't have to say we. So.
On this side, we are we.
You are not Legion. No, I.
It's just an example.
Yes, it's just an example. It's not about you. It's not about you.
It's about me. It's not important.
Yeah, but what's happening is there's a little bit of hyper-intellectualization about something that's pretty simple. So you're distancing yourself from a relationship. You want to be away from the relationship. You decided rationally, but then an emotion comes up and then you find yourself back in the relationship. That can happen, yeah? Has that ever happened to you?
Well, I'm not sure. Before it is, but now it's just start the healing process.
So, of course, because if you're back in an abusive relationship, then that stops the healing process, for sure, for sure. If someone was to experience an emotion, not you, but somebody else, what would the emotion be that would lead them to go back into an abusive relationship?
Well, perhaps that I would say one of the things it could be that perhaps the most common mistake. I'm strong enough. I'm authentic enough. I return to myself, and that tricks you. And thinking that you.
What would the emotion be that would lead? Because we said we're making progress, and emotion comes as a problem, and then it takes us back in our healing. What could that emotion be? This is about emotional literacy, not a vague sense of emotion, but the specific emotion. What could that emotion be? Why would I get back with my abusive ex-girlfriend? What emotion would I feel that would take me back to her?
Well, let's not. I don't know if this is important. Let's not say return, but make perhaps a phone call which will put my.
That's a return, my dear. That's stop. It's still a return. You're complexifying everything. It's still a return. So that's a phone call that will lead to sex, and then you're back in. Ty musisz słuchać. No, ty możesz słuchać. That's Slovakian. That was Slovakian. So what would the emotion be? You're trying really hard, but I will win. What's the emotion that a person could feel that would lead them to make the phone call or get back with the person?
I'm emotionally illiterate.
Wait, stop.
Sorry.
Absolutely not. I'm working here. What if we were writing a story about a man and he keeps getting back with his emotionally abusive ex-girlfriend? What could one of the emotions in that story, what could we represent in the story that he was feeling that would take him back?
To say the right example. So for example, there is a child, and in that moment, the person thinks that it can solve the basic things over the telephone with the father of the child.
Can you answer my question, please?
Sorry. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
You have to listen to it first, my dear.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so you couldn't, like, if it was a movie, somebody does something like that in any circumstances, you wouldn't be able to say, that person is feeling this emotion and that's why they're doing that. You could say no. It's fine to say no.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So
I think about it, but I'm not sure.
yeah. So there are conditions, they have different weird names, where people get knocked out of their access to their emotion and their emotional literacy and their emotional intelligence. It means that their intuition fails them. They can't intuit, like, this is for me, not you, this is a good goal, this is a bad goal, this is someone you should be with, this is someone you should, because I'm emotionally illiterate, so I don't know, none of the warning signs are going off or the red flags that people keep talking about. So then what would stop the healing process is, I'm not in tune with my own intuition. I'm not in tune with my own body or my emotions. And that's where the danger is. You're right, there is danger here. There is real danger here, huge danger. I'm telling you to heal. We talked about the emotional wave coming up. We can't recognize what that wave is. We feel, we do, and then afterwards we regret. And that's a bad place to be in. So for what you're talking about, and I know that this is happening because you're coming out of your heart chakra into your crown chakra. So you're going into your head. You're going out of your body, trying to sort it out in your head. But in here is confused, right? In your head. This is why you struggle to listen sometimes. It's okay. It's okay. I'm the same way. It's like somewhere between attention deficit and dissociation. So we're disassociating because feeling at some point in your life, maybe in my life, would have been disastrous. So if you're raised in a highly toxic environment that's very dangerous, you switch off your feelings as a survival response. But as you adult and you living your own life as an adult human being, we need those feelings switched back on. So your emotional literacy will protect you. You have correctly identified a threat. If you're emotionally illiterate, when those bumps come, and they will come, you'll go back to doing what seems to be the safest thing, or what that person tells you is the safest thing to do, or what seems to be the simplest thing. Because if everything is complex, you want finality, you want a conclusion, you want simplicity. You must work on your emotional literacy. You must get that system reactivated, because right now there's too much going on in here and it just gets cluttered. There's too much yang. You need some yin, man. You need yin yoga. You should get the yoga details from. But yeah, the emotional literacy would really, really help with that. Yes?
Can I ask about the feelings? The switching off and on feelings. If we switch on, and you mentioned the anger about women.
Don't all switch on at the same time. I can run pretty fast. Not that fast, you're right. That one would catch me. And then the rest would get me. Go on, sorry.
What I wanted to ask about the feelings about anger, for me, for sure, about my father.
Yeah.
It was the father. And I woke up from this abuse, I'm 40 years now, and I feel regret that I didn't do it earlier, and anger. So first I felt guilt, and guilt, the feelings of guilt were trying to consume me, and then when that passed, then the anger, and then I'm trying to portion it,
Yeah.
if it's possible. But my
Does it like being apportioned?
No, it's
No.
like an angry dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to go into neat boxes? No.
But it's, my question is with feelings, when, for example, anger is too much, when enough is enough, when you start like it's become
Detrimental.
detrimental for you.
Yeah.
The healing process.
When is anger detrimental to the healing process? I'm not sure that it ever is. It is you. It's your hand, it's your foot. If I say ignore your hand, you'll have problems really, really quickly. Ignore your foot, same thing. It's you, it's part of you. Heal, I don't know what the word is in Serbian for healing, but in English, heal is related to whole. So when we're healing or we're hale, we say in English, if you're hale, you're healthy. It's wholeness, it's integration of wholeness. Same root for yoga, wholeness. It's a yoking, yoga, yeah. So it brings it all together. So whatever is in you, that's within you. I'm still going. Listen, I talk a lot. Haven't you seen my YouTube videos? You paused. I wanted to jump in. Damn. It's like counterpuncher. I've got to keep going. So what was your question?
Yeah, my question was with this overburdening emotions,
Yeah.
anger, guilt, everything. Like it's too much, and I'm trying to portion it down so I don't feel consumed, because I feel like a match that got lit up, and I will burn from this anger and frustration and.
You're afraid that the anger will destroy you? Yeah, okay. So this is, we have to be very, very careful here. So if anybody feels like their emotions are going to destroy them, the first thing they do is they muscle up against them. I have to keep this like a reservoir, like a dam. It's not going to destroy you. You are far more powerful than your emotions. It might change you, and the ways in which it changes you are irreversible.
So the other part is then at next step. So
I think so.
I am without my anger when it's finished.
Yeah, what would you be without your anger, do you know?
What would I lose?
Yeah, what do you lose? Yeah.
Probably protection. I think maybe I feel stronger when
I used to work with guys like you in the security industry. Crazy guys. They would be like, we would do nightclub security, and they would take way more steroids than they needed to be muscly. And I'd be like, why are you taking all these roids? Oh, I want to be angry, mate. I want to be fucking angry. What for? because, you know, if it goes off, I want to be there, lad. We're just looking after people in a fucking bar. It's not the end of days, for Christ's sake. We're not berserkers. It shouldn't be necessary for you to have access to psychotic levels of anger for you to protect yourself. So the character and the story needs to change. Like, the story is, I can be safe without being enraged, and my story is not one of protecting myself, unless you're a gangster, I hope you're not, or a drug dealer, you know, not yet, but who knows, depends on the economy, gotta make money. That shouldn't be your story. It doesn't need to be your story. Some of us become attached to our anger. I was for years, super attached to it. And when I resolved it, yeah, I changed. And you will change. And the changes will be irreversible and unknown. But that's life. That's growth. Right now, as you are, there's parts of you that are still adolescent, a teenage, angry teenage girl. And that's okay. But it would be cool to see what happens beyond that, like the next part of the story. And in a way, you're going to explore it. So you go, okay, I'm not going to live like this anymore. I don't need this anger. I don't need this rage, because it's kind of dumb, right? I used to break iPhones. You know how expensive these are? I punched cars.
I break my toes.
You break your toes. Yeah. Look, if you're going to kick things, train. You kick with the ball of your foot, nice heavy door, scream, get it out. No, yeah, it's wonderful. Just not people. The police get very angry. So there has to be, first of all, positive expression of the anger, and integration beyond this. Like, we're adults, and the world needs us because it's a shit show. We can't afford this indulgence. That's a nice way of reframing it. We can't afford the indulgence of this anger, of these wild expressions of anger. Tantrums, temper tantrums, it's fucking no good. And we're addicting ourselves to it, because whatever we do a lot of, we get addicted to. People get addicted to self-pity, they can get addicted to self-harm, they can get addicted to feeling sad and depressed. We fight responders, we get addicted to rage. It's adrenaline, it's a buzz, it has a high, it has a low, you know, but it's a shit way to live.
So raging, is it yin or yang then?
Oh, it's yang.
Yeah, so too much yang.
Oh yes, that dragon is a yang dragon.
And suppressing the anger is still like suppressing the, then you are suppressing the yin,
if
suppressing the yang.
you're suppressing yang,
Okay.
so you have that raging fire inside of you, and you're pushing it down. It's not like, I think you will, if you don't stop now, you will experience physical illness. You're still,
Right.
you are experiencing physical illness.
10 years maybe.
Okay.
So it's enough, it's enough.
Enough is enough, man. I mean, like, if you can let it go, you will feel more energized. You will feel more energetic. You will have the ability to move more. You'll be more motivated to do your projects, to do your work. Romance is better. Everything is better. Everything is better. So yeah. Another few questions before. Yes. Yeah.
So, how would you describe, how would you say it looks when you heal? But you have to stay in connection with your because of the circumstances.
Yeah.
Is it like you just don't react anymore? You don't feel hurt after the any connection with the abuser? How do you know if you're healed?
What you just said. So you're you've healed. You're in contact with the abuser, this person who had control over your mind and your emotions for years. And when you've healed and your perception has really moved, you will feel nothing, and you will look at them in a completely different way.
Indifference.
At different stages of your healing, it will change. So indifference will be part of it. You might feel contempt. You might start feeling levels of anger you didn't before. You might pity them. You might, all kinds of emotions will come as you heal. This one will take time. This one will take, but let it take its time.
Which one?
What you're dealing with.
Yeah.
What you're dealing with is going to take time, but just let it do what watch. Observe, like, oh, now I feel like this. Oh, okay. Now I feel like this. Oh, okay. It's a process, and you're going to grieve. And you know how grieving is. It goes in cycles and waves.
I know, I think I already did the grieving process and everything, but I
You haven't, I'm sorry. No, not yet. But you will. You have grieved for some of it, but if you're not indifferent to that person, you didn't grieve.
Yeah, but I am. But I'm only concerned because I have a child with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe I'm just suppressing something, and because I don't try anything with him anymore, you know.
Mm.
Just plain communication. I'm afraid maybe I'm not. Now I'm totally uninvolved, and I'm not sure if it's good for the kid.
The world is imperfect and full of pain. If she has you and you're there and you're not permitting somebody to abuse you, that's great. I didn't have a mother like that, so she's lucky.
Okay, I just was concerned maybe I'm in some other phase that I'm not seeing.
There is more work here. I don't believe that you're indifferent. I don't think you would have asked the question if you were indifferent, but I think that you will be indifferent. I think that you can get to that place that you want to get to. It's not quite there yet. I don't know how recent this is, but there is still time that has to pass. And just let it be what it's going to be. There's time is going to pass. There are still grieving phases to go through. It's not about this person, though. It's not about, they're a signifier. That's a symbol. Him, whatever, it's fine. But the stuff related to him, that's not what hasn't happened yet. I would consider seeing a therapist and just being like, okay, why did I end up with somebody like that? Why did I let somebody do that? And then just take a little look at some of the childhood patterns, all the classic stuff, 4 or 5 sessions, a little bit of insight, and then the rest, you just let it heal. You just let it heal. And that's the stuff that you will grieve. You'll be like, oh, wow, that's why I did that. Damn, what a waste of time. That really sucks. Then you grieve. And then you'll see him and you'll know why you did that in relation to him, because that can be bewildering. You're like, why would I, not him, he doesn't matter, but why would I do that with him? Who am I? Like, that's kind of weird. And then you lose that. That part of you dies, and then you grieve that. And that little part of you just dissolves away. And that takes a grieving as well. Changes like that. I mean, it's not, what I'm talking about here is not, it's not woo, because none of this is reversible. You do this, you move forward in time, you mature, and I can't give you anything back. Like, you change in ways that are irreversible, but emotional maturity is like that, and that's what we need. And that's what we need at the national, cultural, familial level, is maturity. We must mature. We're in an anti-maturity culture right now. We're all trying to stay like adolescents. It's really, really sick. Life is irreversible. We're acting like it's reversible. False, 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 false. The truth is, some of this stuff is irreversible. Last few questions, and then I think we're nearly at time.
Question
Yes?
about codependency.
Comical codependency. Sounds like a good idea for a TV show. Go on.
Can we transfer codependency on our children if we are doing this work? Are we in process of healing and still transfer it, even if we don't have a narcissistic partner? Or
Children will do what you do, not what you say. Keep it simple. And they do what you do, and they're internalizing it into the deepest parts of the hard drive. So if my story is, like, as your child, this is weird, but let's go with it. My mummy was abused, but she healed and then she stopped that from happening. That's my story. That's my imprint. I watched my mother grow and change. That's perfectly healthy. That's fine. But if it's my mummy lets daddy be horrible to her, then that's my story and that's what I internalize. And me as a young boy, I'll go find a woman who's going to do to me what I saw daddy do to mummy. So they do what you do. If you're brave and you're intelligent and you're flexible, I'm brave, intelligent and flexible. If you're frightened and avoidant and fearful, you get the picture. Your hand went up.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, when we speak usually about about this trauma and dissolving and how to say to go through all this deep grief around what we lost during the process of this disillusioned phase, and but it's very I feel kind of lacking of understanding what are we supposed to put on that place. For example, like usually, at least for my and how I see it in other relations, it's a relational problem. So most of it is regarding the theme of love and how it's weaponized in today's world a lot. It's not in its natural kind of flow how we relate anymore.
You mean it's infected with greed, boundaryless greed?
Yeah.
It's capitalism. That's the sickness. So I was following you for a second. You said, what do we put in place of the thing that was lost?
Like this weaponization of love, I cannot see a healthy counter, how to say...
You want me to fix love?
No, I don't.
I wish I could. I'd be a billionaire. And you would not be here with me now. Go on, sorry. Yeah, are you talking about the cultural problem, the fact that we're like, the culture of lovelessness that we've got right now?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to touch, of course.
Yeah.
Because I see it's not just personal.
Yeah.
I understand where my problem was, of course, in a sense, like most of us do, we feel alone when we are going through abusive patterns. And part of healing is when we see and can reflect that, understand deeper all the steps and process of healing. But when we speak about letting go and coming into this yin state of seeing what is the issue, like really healing is have a lot to do, the most of the part is the witnessing what it is really, like facing the truth. But I lost the question.
I know you did. But you see, I was yin because I accepted that you didn't have a fucking clue where you were going. And we all accepted it. And it was a beautiful moment, but we supported you. We sat here and let you speak, and that's the important thing. I think do you feel better? Sometimes that's enough. You just get heard. Listen, it's that time of night. It's not even your fault. I'm like, my mind is all over the place right now. Yeah, when it comes to that, like, there's issues that are individual and issues that are cultural. And you individually, how do you fix, like, how do you date in this environment? How do you do love in this environment? I don't know, because we really need to change the culture, and you can't do that on your own. Your best bet is to find somebody who's a philosophical weirdo like you, and sort of, you know, access them at that level philosophically and be like, what do you think about this? Are they willing to have the conversation? It's unfortunate that has to be that way, but that's what Sam Vaknin said about relationships, right? You have to negotiate the rules from scratch every single fucking time now, and it's exhausting. But if you don't, it's even worse. It's even worse. So yeah, it's a problem. Like, we can't. This is the problem with psychology. We're like, oh well, individually I'm fine. Yeah, but your environment is sick. What are you gonna, you know? So I'm not idealistic. Like, I hear you. It's a problem. I'm afraid I don't have the solution until I start a cult, beginning in Serbia, and it spreads through the Balkans and the whole world. I'm still British at heart. Somewhere warmer than the Balkans. This is warm in heart, comrade. This is good place. No, I think like over time things are going to change. If we don't disappear into a complete medical tyranny and get dropped into matrix pods, it will change, because everybody's sick of it at some level. Everybody's sick of it. Like, this is not a sustainable way to live. This culture is not sustainable. I just watched a thing on American News Network yesterday saying birth rates are dropping. They're going to hit population crisis in 20 years. Of course they are. Of course they are. They've criminalized men and women. They've criminalized birth. Whoa, who did this? You did this, you fucking idiots. They deserve everything that happens to them. Listen, I'm sorry I'm doing this. I don't even have the decency to have a proper cold. I just have this constantly running nose. We're a little over time. We can take one more question.
One more short question.
Yes, for a short man.
Do you think Sam Lackman is narcissist or not?
No, he 100% is narcissist. He's been tested in clinics and prison, and Sam Vaknin's a narcissist,
And
yeah.
I also, I used to believe that he's a narcissist,
Mhm.
but after some recent videos, I start to doubt that he's narcissist.
Do not doubt. No doubting. So if you see him,
Especially with his relation with you,
yeah.
he expresses some emotions.
He's not a normal NPD, and he is comorbid with antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality. He's a very, very complicated man. He is not classic grandiose narcissist. You want to know if he's personality disordered? I assure you he is. We have a very careful relationship, very boundaried. I offer him no narcissistic injury. There is one person in charge, and it ain't me. and I have no problem with it. I was raised in British private schools. This is how we spoke to teachers. That's how you spoke to professors. They speak, you listen. Yang, yin, end of. So we don't have a problem. So, but
Maybe you healed him.
that is not true, madam. But thank you for the good faith. I'm afraid not. I think like what I would say is at a certain level of distance, it doesn't matter. But if you got closer to him, you would have a problem for sure, because he is the entity that he is. We must stop. Sadly, ladies, thank you so much for coming out tonight. I really appreciate your time and your attention, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you, Boris.